Hello, and welcome to our latest explainer. When you think of the Maldives, you probably picture pristine beaches, crystal clear water, and amazing resorts. But there is an incredibly rich, hidden history sitting right in the pockets of its citizens. The way this nation has transacted over the centuries is a brilliant reflection of its culture, its geography, and its undeniable resilience. Okay, let's dive into this fascinating chronological journey of Maldivian money.
To really appreciate this story, I want you to step back in time. Imagine being an isolated island nation right in the middle of the Indian Ocean hundreds of years ago. How do you conduct global trade? How do you actually participate in an interconnected economy without the modern currency we take for granted today? What did people use for money before coins and paper were even commonplace? Well, the answer to that question is quite literally pulled straight from the sea.
Which brings us to Section 1, the era of shells.
This is the first major milestone in our narrative, setting the scene in the ancient Maldives, way before central banking was even a thought. The Maldives literally grew their own money. They cultivated cowrie shells, locally known as boli, and exported them globally. And these weren't just pretty trinkets, they were a standardized, highly demanded medium of exchange. Historical records, like those from the famous Moroccan traveler Ibn Battuta, show that the Maldives exported these shells to places as far away as Africa, Bengal, and the Gulf of Cambrai. It's a phenomenal example of an island nation leveraging its natural resources to become a huge player in ancient global trade.
Moving right along to Section 2, early coins and foreign money. This is where we shift from organic shells to forged metals. Let's move to and see how this builds. As the global economy evolved, so did the Maldives. You can see a very clear physical transformation of the currency over the centuries here. We start with the pre-16th century Bali, move to the 16th century Digulari, then to the 17th century Loalari, which were more of your traditional circular coins, all the way to the introduction of the paper Rufiyaa in 1947. Every single step here represents a major shift in how the Maldives interacted with the outside world.
Let's zoom in on that 16th century for a second. The Digulari or Larin is a truly captivating artifact. This wasn't your standard round coin. It was an exotic, 3-inch long piece of silver wire, doubled over, often shaped almost like a fishhook, and stamped in Arabic with the Sultan's name. This specific form of currency was actually a standard across the Indian Ocean at the time, originally coming from the Persian Gulf. But the Maldives made it their own by stamping it with their local royal authority.
So how do we actually get the modern name for the Maldivian currency? Well, the word Rufiyaa is derived from the Sanskrit word rupiah, which translates to wrought silver, and this etymology connects directly to the heavy use of foreign silver coins in the islands. By the 1850s, Indian merchants based in Ceylon were bringing Ceylonesian silver rupees into the Maldives. Now, while they were never officially declared legal tender back then, they became the de facto currency, setting the linguistic stage for the modern Rufiyaa we know today.
And that takes us into Section 3, the birth of the Rufiyaa. This marks the modern era of paper money, triggered by a massive global crisis.
The core problem here was World War II. The immense economic recession and the sheer logistical nightmare of the war caused incredible global metal shortages. The island nations suddenly couldn't get the metal required to strike their coins, and all those foreign silver and gold coins, they simply dried up. So what was the solution? The birth of paper notes. In 1947, the Maldives issued their very first paper rufiyaa. It was a completely pragmatic decision, totally born out of necessity, replacing a metal-based economy with paper.
Let's look a bit closer at the design in Section 4, art, language, and religion, because there are some fascinating cultural quirks hidden right there on the notes.
You see, paper money isn't just a medium of exchange, it's a canvas for a nation's identity. Take a look at this bizarre linguistic quirk on those very first 1947 notes. The English word number, used right next to the serial numbers, was written phonetically in Arabic script as NMBR. How did that happen? Well, the English word had been introduced into the local Divehi language via Urdu. And since Urdu words were traditionally spelled in Arabic, the English word literally ended up written in Arabic script on a Maldivian banknote. It's just a perfect snapshot of a culture sitting right at the crossroads of diverse global trade routes.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between the first series in 1947 and the second series in 1983. Back in 1947, strict Islamic traditions meant absolutely zero living creatures, no people, no animals were depicted on the artwork. Plus, the text was this complex mix of Arabic and the local Thana script. But fast forward to 1983, and we start seeing human figures added to the designs, like fishermen out on their boats.
On top of that, following a language decree in 1959, the local Thana script evolved to handle Arabic phonetics. This meant the 1983 notes dropped the Arabic script almost entirely in favor of pure Thana.
The catalyst for that striking second series was the year 1981. This is an absolutely critical date to remember. It marks the establishment of the Maldives Monetary Authority, or the MMA. For the very first time, a dedicated central bank took control of the currency away from the Department of Finance. They prepared the nation for a much more structured, modern financial system, paving the way for the launch of those beautifully redesigned 1983 notes.
Which brings us to a huge technological leap in Section 5, the polymer revolution.
As the nation modernized, so did the physical technology of its money. To celebrate the 50th anniversary of Maldivian independence in 2015, the Maldives introduced the Golden 50 series, completely abandoning traditional paper for polymer plastic. I mean, just imagine the absolute necessity of waterproof money for a nation of islands, right? Fishing, boating, and sea travel are literal daily realities. Beyond just surviving a quick dip in the ocean, these polymer notes are highly durable against wear and tear, they're way more hygienic because they naturally resist microbes, and they carry incredibly advanced security elements that make them nearly impossible to counterfeit. And if you're wondering about the return on investment for upgrading to polymer, just look at this number. 4. These new polymer notes last 4 times longer than traditional paper money. They don't tear easily, they definitely don't disintegrate in that intense tropical humidity, and when they do eventually wear out, the material can actually be recycled. It is a massive win for both economic efficiency and sustainability.
Finally, we reach the climax of our story in Section 6, a brand new symbol. And this brilliantly illustrates how the Rufiyaa has been firmly planted into the modern digital age. Introduced recently in 2022, the Maldives finally got its very own official currency symbol. It's this sleek, modern design based on the local Thana letter Ra, which makes sense, it's the first letter of Rufiyaa, with an added parallel line, very similar to the styling you'd see on the euro or the dollar sign. This simple yet powerful graphic completely aligns the currency with international digital and financial standards, giving it a very distinct visual identity on the global stage.
The central bank has actually been executing a gradual rollout of this new symbol onto the physical banknotes themselves. As you can see, the 50 Rufiyaa note got it first in 2022, followed by the 100 and the 20. The 10 Rufiyaa is receiving the symbol update on April 1, 2026. But here's a really fascinating quirk for collectors and just everyday users. The highest denominations, the 500 and 1000 notes, still do not feature the new symbol. That means older and newer design philosophies are literally coexisting right now in people's wallets.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought. Think about the incredible journey we just took. From harvesting cowrie shells straight from the sea, to stamping exotic silver wire, to printing paper notes out of wartime necessity, and finally engineering high-tech, waterproof polymer with a custom digital symbol. So how does the physical evolution of money reflect the changing identity of a nation? The Maldivian currency isn't just a way to buy things. It's a living, breathing timeline of an ancient island nation seamlessly modernizing itself, literally carried in the pockets of its people. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep learning and keep asking questions.